Emergency News Presentation.
Good morning and welcome to A View from the House, coming to you live from the SABC studios at Parliament in Cape Town. My name is Asanda Mbeche. Now, for the past 2 weeks, MPs have been hard at work scrutinizing their annual reports and financial statements of various entities and state departments. Before we look at some of the work done by MPs over the past 2 weeks, let's first hear what's on the agenda of political parties as we begin the fourth and final term of the 2012 parliamentary sitting. First on our lineup is the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Dr. Motshekga. We'll also talk to the leader of the United Democratic Movement, General Bantu Olomisa, about priorities set out for the UDM. Later in our program, we'll turn our focus to the National Council of Provinces and to work done by legislators in the committee rooms of Parliament. Now, with little more than a month remaining in this year's parliamentary session, it's expected to be a hectic period for lawmakers. To get an idea of what the ruling party has on its agenda for this fourth quarter, we're joined by Dr. Motshekga, Chief Whip of the ANC. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, Asanda.
The first 3 quarters are up. The final quarter is now starting. What has the ANC been able to achieve what it set out to do in the beginning of the year?
We can proudly say that we have demonstrated that the ANC has actually created a people's activist parliament that knows where the people are, that listens to the people, and that oversees the executive branch of government, and that scrutinizes the reports that come before it to ensure that the interests of the people are put first.
We've got just over a month for this quarter. What's left for the ANC to do still?
You will know that under discussion were the Superior Courts Bill, the Traditional Courts Bill, the Information Bill, which is before the National Council of Provinces, and those matters will enjoy our attention.
Talking about legislation, now the Protection of State of Information Bill and the Traditional Courts Bill have stimulated a lot of debate countrywide. Would they be finished by the time this term closes?
You see, as the African National Congress, we respect the fact that legislation must reflect the will of the people, and that's why we have had robust discussion in the National Assembly and now in the NCOP, and we ensure that the inputs by the public and all sectors are taken into account. So we are not here to rush any bill, because a bill must reflect the will of the people.
Talking about rushing, there's been suggestions in some corners that the ANC would like to have these 2 controversial pieces of legislation shelved until after the ANC's Mangaung conference.
It's not correct. It is not correct to say there are 2 controversial bills. The nature of Parliament is to consider national issues. And national issues, when you deal with national issues, there will be different viewpoints. And that's what makes our democracy alive. So we are happy that there is robust engagement regarding the 2 bills.
Your comment on the idea that the ANC would like to have those pieces of legislation shelved until after Mangaung?
You see, I represent a democratic organization. I can talk about rumors. What we're going to do is we're going to follow our normal parliamentary process, and if we finish the work to our satisfaction and the satisfaction of the people that we represent, which are the people of South Africa as a whole, both black and white, then we will complete. Otherwise, we will have good reasons to shelve that.
Let's look at other issues that have been topical recently. There's been the Nkandla development. There's been the Marikana issue. We've also seen South Africa's credit rating downgrades. And the DA is also even called for a debate on the economy of the country. Are these issues that Parliament would be likely to debate before the year's over?
You see, as Parliament, we don't deal with personal attacks on leaders. We deal with issues. If you look at the issues, not at individuals, you will see that the Nkandla issue has been put out of context, and it is used for political point scoring, and it's something that government has addressed to say that if there's any wrongdoing, that wrongdoing will be investigated. But it is unfair and unfounded to try and come to conclusions when investigations are not done, and when actually some of these things happened in the normal course of government business.
Let's take a look at the Constitutional Court's ruling around legislative proposals by MPs. Is there a process set out for how the National Assembly will now deal with legislative proposals from MPs?
The Constitution of the country guides us as to how this must be done. You cannot have a situation where anybody wakes up every day and put things through Parliament. There will be chaos, and Parliament has got to regulate its internal affairs without derogating from the right of MPs to introduce legislation. And I think the presiding officers have been managing this very well, and they will continue to do that very well.
Let's just go back to the issue of the country's economy. The leader of the opposition, Lindiwe Mazibuko, has asked for a debate, a joint sitting of the National Assembly on that. Is that something that could still happen before the end of this year?
You see, Honorable Mazibuko needs a platform for grandstanding. The reality of the matter is that before people call for joint discussions, they must look at exactly what government is doing. Government has launched the infrastructure program. The president has called all sectors of society together to discuss these issues. He has called on business and others to reduce their salaries, and government continues to say that we are facing the triple challenge of inequality, poverty, and unemployment. That's where the focus should be. Now is not the time for cheap politicking. It's the time to address the real issues facing the people, and this government of President Jacob Zuma is doing very well in that regard.
There's been concerns that preparations for the ANC's elective Congress could sort of affect Parliament's program for the year. Is there any likelihood of that, or is work normal?
In the ANC, there is no confusion. The MPs are deployed by the ANC to do parliamentary work, and that is not going to be dictated to by what the ANC does as an organization outside Parliament to prepare for its elective conference. So where things are normal, in the nomination process, they are going well, managed very well, and in Parliament, our program is in place, and we're going to continue focusing on that. No, nothing is going to detract us.
Sir, let's leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us. Well, it's time for a break. When we return, we'll talk to the leader of the United Democratic Movement, General Bantu Olomisa. Stay with us.